In a 10 dimensions update. The last time a new dimension was added to Minecraft was the 1.0.0 update that introduced the Ender Dragon and the final boss fight. Other than that, we've had no new dimension in the base game. I mean, sure, we've had mods like the Twilight Forest and the Aether, which are seemingly included in every mod pack ever, or at least the Twilight Forest is, but they're included in all those mod packs because exploring new dimensions is part of the excitement of a sandbox game. Mods like Mistcraft let you create your own dimensions using specific features, and that was insanely cool. And while we don't need something that's that extreme, another dimension would still be incredible, and something that would surely be talked about when we haven't gotten one in 10 years, and Mojang needs to do something big to be able to top adding the most powerful mob. Maybe they just add the Skulk dimension. And at 9, inventory management. Leaving chests aside, Minecraft doesn't really offer any reliable ways to store, manage, or carry your items. And considering how the game has more, like, actual things that you can hold than seemingly any other sandbox game, you definitely need a way to sort through the tons and tons of crap you will get while trying to find one diamond. It's possible that the Minecraft 1.2 update will actually bring a bundle-like item that will allow you to store a group of items within your existing inventory. And I mean, like, yeah, we have shulker boxes, but that just helps you move large quantities from one location to another, and it's not really meant for inventory management. Minecraft could also introduce a mechanic that allows the player to expand their default inventory. Maybe a leather backpack could be a reliable way to introduce this feature, and many other games offer similar solutions. The bundles that were teased still have yet to be implemented, and even when they are, they're going to be fairly limited. Whereas something like just being able to open a shulker box in your inventory would be a huge help, so that, you know, we don't have to place one down every time we need to just grab one item. It would be especially useful like underwater when you don't really have any blocks around to place the shulker on. Yeah, that'd be easy. And at 8, the forest update. Minecraft's forests were introduced in the very first version of the game, and they haven't really changed since. There have been updates to literal hell before an update for the forests. Even swamps got an upgrade before forests, the most fundamental of all Minecraft biomes. And while we did get bees, that's it. That's the only thing really that's been added to the forests. But I and plenty of others think that they can do more. One question that I've been wanting answered is what happened to the original villages. You know, the ones from before Minecraft's 1.14 Village and Pillage update. I mean, there was like the perfect opportunity to turn these into ruined villages that we end up seeing in the game, and then give us a story that explains how the old villages got overrun, and then they had to go make a new village or have one made for them with better defenses or just better architecture in general so that they would be more protected, but the zombie villages now are the same as the current ones. The way to really remedy this in my mind is to just put those old villages in forests as maybe even a smaller version and call them overgrown villages where nature has kind of taken them back. There are no structures that generate in forests, and after the first night, forests just become a biome you travel through to get to cooler things. Something small like this could kind of bring these forests back to life, no pun intended. They could even include different variants like they did with jungles. You can have like an enchanted forest, a dark forest, or a dead forest. You know, you get that idea. Dark could be where mobs can spawn no matter the light level. Enchanted forest could give you like a regeneration or some small ability or buff, and dead forest can just be like no leaves and like low saturation grass, you know? Or maybe that's too close to Herobrine. And it's 7, proper combat. Right now, combat on Minecraft Bedrock Edition and Java is drastically different. The most common example of this is that how Bedrock seemingly didn't get a combat update. Like, they got 1.9 and End Cities and Elytra, but you can still spam attack. You can keep clicking, okay? But in Java, you have to wait after each attack, and then if you time it right, you get slightly more damage. Sweeping attacks are also exclusive to Java Edition because of this, and so are combat-friendly axes. Well, friendly is a loose term, and so are more damaging axes, I guess. Because of these differences, though, it becomes almost impossible for players to actually enjoy both editions of the game without learning separate combat mechanics. And trust me, I know this for a fact. Having to figure out Bedrock Edition just made me sure that I prefer Java, and hopefully the next update can put an end to that, because having to crouch to use a shield is ridiculous, okay? I know it's because it's supposed to be controller friendly, okay, but if I'm using a mouse, let me right click, okay, or let me keybind the thing, let me change the key binding, okay, because limiting me for using a PC is stupid. But you can get other editions if you have Bedrock or Game Pass now, so please, just get Java, okay? And then join my server. It's a long story, but it has proximity chat. Hit 6 Jungle Update. Well, jungles did get a bit of a sprucing up, no pun intended, with the bamboo forests. These guys could still do with a bit more love, and plenty of Minecrafters agree, since I've been seeing jungle update ideas all over my Instagram feed recently, for some reason. Before 1.18, okay, you had jungles, jungle hills, modified jungle edge, and bamboo jungle hills. That was it. But then after 1.18, you also have sparse jungle. And that's it. Jungle temples can only spawn in the normal jungle biomes on Bedrock and also in the bamboo jungles on Java Edition, but other than that, what really do these have aside, like, what purpose do these serve other than, like, giving you cocoa beans and then maybe a parrot? Okay? Other than that, we tend to try to avoid these things because they're just so difficult to navigate. There's a reason that nobody in Hermitcraft Season 7 built their mega base in the jungle despite multiple people having their starter base there, okay? It's just not practical. So, how about we get a little something more for these guys while also adding something else? Because a whole jungle update at this point might be a little much for the jungle when there's a much better option on the table for what you could do with an update. Halfway through into number 5, unused mobs. Mojang has a history of creating conceptual mobs and then never implementing them into the game. For example, the Moo Bloom, hashtag rest in peace, or the Siren Head looking thing, okay? But you know what? What's truly tragic is the mobs that existed in the game but then don't have any purpose or spawn mechanic, or ones that just for some reason got removed. These unused mobs include the Giant, the Zombie Horse, the Elder Guardian Ghost, Illusioner, Killer Bunny, Jungle Villagers, and Swamp Villagers. Realistically, Minecraft 1.2 couldn't add all of these mobs into the game, but I mean, like, we still hope that at least some of these mobs can get at least a little bit of justice before something else. I mean, I don't know. But let's also remember the Fireflies, which were supposed to come in 1.19, but then didn't make the cut for some reason. And if you're curious, Swamp Villagers are actually unable to spawn naturally since a village can't really spawn in a swamp biome, but they can be bred from what I understand, at least, and so can Jungle Villagers. And the Elder Guardian Ghost is exclusive to Bedrock Edition. It has the same model and texture as an Elder Guardian, but it uses the player hurt sound when hit, and it has less health, and it's missing the back tail model for some reason. And then when spawned outside of water, it floats upwards until it despawns. It will also pass through blocks for some reason, but in my head it's probably just the mob that they used to get the graphic for when the Elder Guardian gives you mining fatigue. You know, the Elder Guardian when it comes past your screen, that's probably what it was used for, and then they just didn't fully remove it. Maybe because they have to keep it in. In it for the desert update. Minecraft's deserts are, well, deserted, okay? A desert pyramid, otherwise called the desert temple, is a sandstone structure that sometimes generates in deserts where, you know, you can find hidden chests containing loot, but it's also protected by a TNT trap. Being introduced in version 1.3.1, nothing has really been added to deserts since. This is the update that added the first version of villager trading. It also added emeralds, a better creative menu, and adventure mode. Yeah, 1.3.1 was released on August 1st, 2012, and since then, deserts haven't really been touched. It's been almost 10 years to the day for these dry guys. And while yes, deserts are meant to be, well, barren deserts, the least we could do was show them a little bit more love. Okay, we have fossils that can randomly generate underground in piles of gravel, so why not have them be a little bit more common in deserts, or maybe slightly exposed in deserts, you know? Why not add an oasis sub-biome for just that little bit of extra life? I go to a desert to find a cactus, maybe a temple, and then maybe the odd village or a dungeon who was close enough to the surface that the sand collapsed in on itself. And then I'm gone. Like, I don't stay there. The only other reason to go is a large quantity of sand, but if you're not making a giant build on an SMP, why would you do that? Okay? Other than that, we don't really care for deserts, so show them some love, okay? You gave jungles a bit of an update. Help out my deserted boys, you know? Help him get his sands wet, you know what I mean? Okay? It's been a while for him. 10 years. Getting close to the end into number 3, Emerald Tools. Emeralds, because of all the trading mechanics with the villagers, actually work as Minecraft's unofficial currency, but unfortunately, that's the only purpose they serve other than beacons. Even though emeralds spawn kind of in the same manner as other ores in Minecraft, well, at least in the sense that they're mineable ores, you can't really use them in any crafting recipes. This treatment of the emerald ore then kind of puts them in an undesirable situation, because, I mean, why would you just dig one when you can go trade for a stack? And considering how Minecraft Minecraft Dungeons actually has emerald armor, maybe we can get this, or maybe a recipe or something like that for the main game as well. If we were to get emerald tools, they would actually be probably stronger than iron, but not as strong as diamond, given that emeralds rank at an 8 on the Mohs scale and diamonds rank at a 10, Mohs standing for measurement of hardness scale, and given their spawning patterns, they would be difficult to come by until you had a villager trading hall, which after that you could basically just have a tool farm, which could slightly break the game, but given that you can also trade for diamond enchanted tools, maybe it wouldn't. And when I say that the generation for ores is weird, emerald ore attempts to generate 50 times per chunk in blobs of 1, so an ore vein for emerald is 1. From levels -16 to 320, being most common at level 256 and becoming less common towards either end of the range, going up or down. If you see a mountain that actually goes up to 256 or even past that, there's a high likelihood that there is at least a bit of an emerald there, because it also only spawns in desert biomes, or mountain biomes, not desert biomes, mountain biomes. But ultimately, in number 2, spectator mode. We can actually confirm that a recent beta and preview for Minecraft Bedrock Edition contained early functionality for spectator mode, which is a much wanted feature that somehow hasn't been added to Bedrock Edition as of yet. This will launch after the 1.19 update, because, you know, I mean, the 1.19 came out, I think it's come out for Bedrock, but they'll be testing it further in upcoming betas and previews, which is in essence the snapshots of Bedrock Edition for all my Java players out there. I don't know why these things are so different. I mean, like, I don't get it, especially with this, because like spectator mode was added accidentally in 1.19 betas, but I don't know why it's not there yet. It's already on Java Edition and has been for a while, but will soon come out on Bedrock? Like, somehow it wasn't ready for the 1.19 update. And as Mojang said in a statement, quote, "The first iteration will not be finished in time for 1.19, so we will be moving it to an experimental toggle in an upcoming beta. Until we have a more polished version for you, please consider that any contents or maps built on this feature will not be supported, as this feature will change and evolve." I mean, I don't get it, okay? But it may not be ready for the 1.20 update, but there is a good chance that it will make it in. I mean, it's confirmed to come to the game eventually. How it's not in the game already, I don't know. Okay, maybe it's a conflict with consoles or Pocket Edition, but I can't see how that would happen. But anyway, screw Bedrock. And finally, hit number 1, an end update. While we did get a pseudo end update in 1.9, adding the additional end islands with an elytra along with the end cities and shulker boxes, but other than those 4 features, it didn't really do much. So a full end update would be very much appreciated, especially with some of the concepts that I've been seeing online, particularly 2 of them. First by IamPixel on Instagram, with a redesigned main island including an updated ender dragon, exit portal, and obsidian pillars. They also suggest a dragon designed elytra, as well as a new ender stray mob and a retextured enderman. They also suggest chorus trees and ruined end ships. These are incredibly cool and actually do seem to fit pretty well with the Minecraft story that they're trying to tell. The other one though is from Animal Mace on Instagram and is what made me want to do this list. This update would add a rare crystal biome to the end that contained void crystals, kind of like amethyst geodes in the overworld. You'd be able to open shulkers in your inventory, which takes care of the inventory management issues that we complain about. They also would add craftable link portals using void crystals that would be like a quick tube system that transports items and players, which would be incredibly expensive, understandably, but also very cool, and it's something that I've been seeing requested quite a bit. Ender whales that could also fly through the sky that you can ride, and if you do ride them, they'd take you back to the main island without you needing to guide them, which honestly would be extremely beneficial, especially if you run out of rockets or had like a near destroyed elytra. You wouldn't have to take the plummet to your death, especially if you're in hardcore mode, okay? And I mean, it would take a while for the whales to fly because it's a freaking whale in the sky, but it would still be incredible. Whale lords. Yeah, Yogscast fans know it. In a 10 difficulty. Minecraft does have quite a few difficulties. The most popular ones being hardcore and peaceful, because nobody else really thinks or cares to talk about the other 3. However, these difficulties could really use an update, or at least the difficulty system in general could use kind of an addition. Whether it be a separate selector or not, I think that there should be an option at least to use a better AI system. Maybe something a little more advanced for difficulty rather than just making mobs do more damage when the difficulty is higher. Maybe we can implement the stalking creepers mod to a certain extent. I remember there was like a possible feature for 1.17 that included like creepers running away from other creepers that were about to explode, or was that a mod? At this point I can't remember, but something like that would be cool as well. Maybe skeletons also taking cover instead of just backing away when we got too close, or spiders intentionally jumping off of walls to get at us instead of just climbing them by accident or to get to us, you know, because like if it's just running at me I can just hit it with a sword. I think that some AI improvements like this that could be enabled or disabled at will would add a fresh new element to the game and wouldn't really change the game that much, especially if it was optional. Maybe something for the veteran players, you know? In at 9, survival. Minecraft does definitely have a survival mode, but somehow our character doesn't ever need to drink water, or literally drink anything in order to survive. In hard difficulty, sure, we can actually starve to death, but other than that, you won't get killed by starving. And sure, I mean Minecraft is a game of blocks, it's not supposed to be realistic, but maybe some additional survival elements could make the game more exciting. I mean honestly, getting large quantities of water isn't really an issue anymore, especially with dripstone and cauldrons, well because of infinite water sources, but especially with like dripstone and cauldrons, because if you add the requirement to boil the water before you can drink it, putting the cauldron over a fire or a campfire would work perfectly fine, and then you could just grab as many water bottles as you wanted. I mean, like, we have them in the game already, right? Might as well let them be useful without requiring a potion in them. I'm not saying like go as hardcore as like RL Craft or Skyrim Survival Mode or Frostfall. I'm just saying maybe having another need would make things feel a little more interesting. You could add a canteen or something that holds multiple servings of water, since we can carry like a stack of steak down into a cave. And I mean like this is the perfect kind of game to add another need to, since we already have to worry about eating and it wouldn't really change that much. In at 8, Yummy Tummy. Yes, I named this one the Yummy Tummy update intentionally because I thought it was hilariously cringe in the best way. While having to drink water could be beneficial to add another element to survival Minecraft, there is an easier solution that would give players even more variety and other aspects of the game to explore. My sister is very fond of the Pam's Harvest Craft mod. In fact, if I want her to play any mod pack that I make, I have to include this mod, otherwise she just won't play it. And then even when I do include it, she doesn't play the pack anyway. Yeah, it's a great sister, right? Well, maybe we wouldn't need that mod if Minecraft updated their foodstuffs. Currently, there are 40 consumable items in Minecraft, not all of which are actually helpful, and they're all required for a balanced diet advancement. But, why not make that advancement an entire branch of advancements and make food in Minecraft a little more interesting? I mean, there are things that you can make, like various soups, cookies, and pumpkin pie, but that's really all the foodstuffs that you can craft, and cake. Or I guess technically cook. I mean, I guess that's the right term. Bread is literally just a loaf of bread, so why not make it possible to use that and make a sandwich? Something that would be more beneficial than just carrying around a stack of damn steaks or golden carrots. Cause like, it would need to be worth it to do that. Because once you have a steady supply of emeralds and some farming villagers, you completely remove the whole aspect of hunger from the game. At that point, you're just eating to regenerate health. So why not make it a little bit more exciting? In at 7, Herobrine. Herobrine has been a Minecraft meme and a legend for over 10 years. As long as Minecraft has been around basically, so has Herobrine. The creepypasta character has become synonymous with the game despite never actually being in the game, and that's something to admire. Sure, there have been subtle references to him in update logs saying removed Herobrine, but after something as big as adding the strongest monster to the game and then splitting what had planned to be one update into 3, Mojang needs to do something big. So why not add the most iconic fan-made video game character of literally all time to Minecraft? I mean, there are already mods for it, okay? And you don't really need to do anything big. Maybe just subtle things that eventually lead to an actual Herobrine encounter. It could be an April Fool's update, it could be real, it doesn't really matter to me. I just think that it would be cool to see something like this be added to the game, even if it's just for a day. In at 6, Equalizer. I'm sure basically all of you know that there are 2 different versions of Minecraft, and I'm sure that for some reason most of you play on the Bedrock edition for whatever reason. Be it on console, PC, mobile, or through Game Pass. I don't get why you would do it, but nevertheless it's still a thing. However, some of you may not know that there are actually distinct different features across the different versions of the game. For example, in the last part I mentioned that Bedrock never got a real combat update, but also in Bedrock Edition you can waterlog pistons, leaves, and more. Well, I mean, you can waterlog leaves in Java Edition now, but that's aside the point. You can place redstone on piston backs along with being able to push tile entities, meaning that things like chests, furnaces, and dispensers can be pushed by pistons. Things with an inventory in Bedrock can actually be moved, but not in Java. And there are features in Java not present in Bedrock. The idea with this Equalizer update though would be to bring the same features into both versions. Conflicting features would have to have one of them removed, obviously, which could be done by a voting, similar to how they would do the mob votes in the past, and it would really limit the discrepancies between versions, because if you see someone do something cool online, sometimes you just can't do it because they used a feature that you don't have access to, or it's different in your version. So yeah, bringing them together in that sense could end a lot of confusion, especially on TikTok, because there's so many stupid comments. Halfway through into number 5, Redstone. The Minecraft Redstone update was actually Minecraft version 1.5. Yeah, this version is what added realms, nether quartz, hoppers, redstone blocks, daylight sensors, trapped chests, comparators, and metal pressure plates, TNT minecarts, and actually, interestingly enough, the actual nether brick item that you get from smelting netherrack. However, while this was a major update for Redstone and was incredibly cool, it was also released in 2013, nearly 10 years ago. Just over 9 years ago, we got the Redstone update, and we haven't really gotten any updates since. Sure, we've gotten some new Redstone blocks like the Skulk Sensor and Observer, but that's just 2 things. Redstone could really do with another update, and it's a place that they could add the copper golem in as well, since I mean, while yes, the allay is cool, copper golems just seem so much cooler and cuter. Okay, the allay, at least in my mind, are like the gold diggers of Minecraft. They'll follow you around if you give them an item, but after a time, if you don't give them another one, they're gonna stop following you, okay? The copper golem just wants to push buttons, and you know what? I can relate to that. Plus, we could also do with a little bit more redstone stuff, even if it's to make things simpler for those who want to get into redstone, but are intimidated by it. So yeah, that could help. Well, I mean, like, don't make it simple enough to, like, for me to make a 16-bit computer in Minecraft, because, like, God knows I'm not even gonna try that, but still, like, just come on. In it for combat. The 1.9 combat update can honestly be named literally anything else and it would still make sense. Honestly, it was closer to an end update than an actual combat update. Out of the 22 new additions to the game in 1.9, only 6 of them were actually based on combat. Sure, some mechanics were changed, like the skeleton AI and sword blocking, but only 6 out of the 22 new features in the combat update were focused on combat. The majority of them were focused on the end, and with all of the combat snapshots we've been seeing on Reddit, 9 of them to be exact, we still haven't seen any of those features like axe combat enchantments being added into the game, which in my mind should have been added in the combat update, but I mean, like, they came up with it after. So why not make an actual combat update with these mechanics and maybe some additional ones thrown in there for good measure? The amount of times that I have tried to use a shield to block fall damage is embarrassing, but maybe I've seen Winter Soldier too many times. I mean, like, maybe they could throw in an enchantment for that, you know? You could just, like, land on your shield and you'd take, like, half damage, I don't know. Add the cleaving enchantment, add the weapon reach, and add the changes to the bow accuracy for if it's drawn longer than 3 seconds. Or maybe do 5, because, like, 3 seconds isn't really that bad. At this point, I feel like we deserve it after the last end update. I mean, sorry, combat update. My bad. Getting close to the end into number 3, storage. Minecraft storage could really use an update as well. Like, sure, we have a few storage containers in the game and chests have been improved since now we don't have to space them out every other block, but currently it just feels like it can still be improved. Chests especially now, considering how they're the least useful storage container in the game. Sure, they're simple to make, but barrels are actually cheaper in both versions. To make 3 chests in Minecraft, you need 24 wooden planks, regardless of the edition. In Java Edition, 3 barrels will actually cost you 3 planks less, since you turn 3 of them into 6 slabs, and then it's 2 slabs per barrel. And in Bedrock, it's even cheaper than that, since instead of planks, you use sticks. So 3 barrels in Bedrock Edition is going to cost you 18 planks instead of 24 or even 21. And not only that, but barrels also hold the same amount as a single chest. They may not be able to combine, which may cause some inconvenience, but they also don't need to have a transparent block above them for them to actually work, resulting in a more efficient use of space. So yeah, Minecraft chests, or storage in general, could really use an update, even if it's just like buttons to sort chests, like the inventory tweaks mod or something, really. Because, like, honestly, chests need something to be able to get their edge back, because at this point they're useless. Unless you're crafting shulker boxes. It's true. But ultimately, in at number 2, Unity. I talked about how Minecraft's different versions are different in many ways, and an update that gave the 2 the same features would be wonderful and prevent confusion. However, why not take that a step further and make the game's cross-version as well? It's difficult since I don't think that Bedrock, aka Windows Edition, runs on Java, which is why this isn't really possible currently. However, you could do something like working a way to make the realms cross-version. Okay, that way, it's a separate entity that doesn't mess with either version, but you can make both of their coding systems work with it. it. It would be a lot of work and it would be difficult, but I've seen it done with certain server plugins. And let's be honest, Minecraft Realms needs something like that to actually make them worth it. Okay, I was paying around, it was either $11 or $15 a month for my realm, and none of my friends played on it, okay? But we stopped playing on it because it got boring. We couldn't have mods, we couldn't use plugins. If I wanted to add a data pack, I needed to download the world folder, add the data pack, and then re-upload it, which would take ages. But then I outsourced to an unofficial server hosting, and the service hasn't gone down. I can use mods on it, I can use custom and pre-made mod packs, and I can add plugins and whatever I want without much hassle, okay? Plus, it was the same price. I upgraded recently for more space, but I can have more than 11 people on the server, and anyone who wants to join can join it, including fans, since the IP is in my Discord server. So if Realms could do cross-version, it would definitely be a game changer for them. Maybe I would actually play on a Realm for once. Well, for once. Again. And finally, in at number 1, the horror update. Now, Minecraft is a lot of things. People say that it is a lot of other things as well, but one thing that I don't hear much or at all really is that the game is scary. Sure, hardcore can be scary, but that's because if you die, your world is gone forever, not because of anything in the game. The warden was scary at first, but now we can distract it with a piston on an observer loop, so why not add a little something spookier to Minecraft for all the players who have grown up with the game and maybe want a little bit more spook in their world? Okay, the last update that wanted to add something scary was the interestingly named Pretty Scary update from 2010, over 8 years ago. Nearly 10 actually, since the Pretty Scary update was Minecraft version 1.4.2 and released on October 25th, 2012. This Halloween update added much of the iconic features now, which is zombie villagers, bats, command blocks, anvils, pumpkin pies, but it also added the wither skeletons, the beacon, and the wither boss, which is exactly what made this the Pretty Scary update. But Pretty Scary was fine back in 2012. It's 2022 now, okay? Give us the really scary update or the horror update and add some stuff that will actually make the adult players happy while keeping it rated E. There are certainly some things that you could add, okay? Like the stalking creepers or scary noises from the deep dark, the damn skulk sensors. Make it scary, okay? Make me scared of ancient cities again, because one stack of ender pearls and I'm pretty solid.
Number 10, Sniffer. The Sniffer sounds super fascinating to me. It was the mob to win the Minecraft Live 2022 Mob Community Vote to be added into the game, and so it will appear at some point in this version. The Sniffer was described as being an ancient mob, long thought of as extinct, which already sounds super interesting to me. It also kind of reminds me of Appa, the sky bison, the animal companion of Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I think are good vibes. I do love Appa personally. And Appa was also an ancient creature, long thought of as extinct, so lots of parallels here. In order for you to revive the Sniffer and bring it back to life in the game, you'll need to find their egg somewhere deep below the earth, either underground or underwater. Once hatched, the Sniffer's key function is to sniff around and seek out various plants and seeds, which it can then help you collect. It's also been implied that the Sniffer may even be able to help discover completely new plants, which will also likely be added to the game along with it. And friends, before we head on to this next point, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Gaming, why not show us you love us by hitting that like, hitting that subscribe, help us out. Number 9, bamboo. With a new update also comes new building materials, such as bamboo. As we know, you'll be able to make a ton of new and exciting things with your bamboo, such as bamboo buildings and homes, doors, stairs, fences, and of course slabs and blocks. Bamboo is one of my favorite building materials in the world of Animal Crossing to use on my island in New Horizons. It just really has a great tropical feel. So if that's what you are looking to create on your server in Minecraft, this might be the best newest building material for you. While we still aren't completely sure of the overall theme for this update yet, it is awesome to see more elements being added to the game that allow players to add even more detail and more expression to their builds in the future. Number 8, rafts. Bamboo won't just be a buildable material in the game, you'll also be able to build stuff with it, namely boats, or rather more like rafts. But still pretty cool stuff. I always love when we get something new to build with. New material can give the places you are building just a whole new sense of style as well, which I like. In Minecraft 1.20, you'll be able to row down the stream or across the ocean vacation on your little bamboo raft. I feel like you can create some real deserted island or jungle paradise vibes with these new little boats. If you're wondering how different the raft is from other boats, mostly it's a style and building material change, so don't worry, you'll still be able to take your loot with you on your journey, as the option to attach a chest to the raft will also still be possible. Number 7. The End. Some have speculated the Minecraft 1.20 update will focus on the End dimension. The End dimension in Minecraft is a space-like realm that is made up of various separate islands that are made out of endstone. The End also gets its name from the fact that it is where you go to, end the game, with the Ender Dragon spawning there upon your first arrival. It is also the plane where Endermen and Shulkers originate. The reason why some think that the End will be the focus of 1.20 has to do with the fact that Minecraft Dungeons got an update in the past year that also focused on the End. Although, from what we're seeing from the materials, I'm not sure if we're gonna go that way, but I would not be surprised if they were like, you're gonna get some jungle stuff and some desert stuff and also the End. Number 6. Microbiomes. Once again, this is a speculation surrounding what we know, but it is based on the idea that this 1.20 update could see a lot of changes focused around the End. Although, even if it's not around the End and it's a different area of the game, I think this could still be quite relevant. If this is true, then we could see a whole series of microbiomes introduced as the End is fleshed out and more developed in the game, or as other areas are fleshed out and more developed. Some have even surmised that the Better End, which is a mod for Minecraft, could serve as inspiration for how Mojang could better improve this area and environment of the game. I'm not sure if this is where the 1.20 update could be headed, but I do think that this would be a cool direction for it to head in. I mean, the End hasn't been touched for a long time, and it feels kind of underdeveloped in comparison to other parts of the game, so it would be cool to see an update happen there. Number 5. Chiseled bookshelves. This is actually something that I think I'm the most excited about, even though it doesn't sound that exciting at all. But to me, I'm here for the chiseled bookshelves. Bookshelves that actually hold your books. It sounds crazy, but it's finally here! We are getting chiseled bookshelves with the Minecraft 1.20 update, and a lot of people are excited about this attention to detail. It feels weird to be so excited about a functional item existing in the world of Minecraft. I mean, for years we've kind of had bookshelves, but you've never been able to actually store anything on them. They were more for decoration. I guess this is what adulting feels like, getting excited about bookshelves you can actually use, though of course still in a video game. At least we can hold on to that element of our youth. This is something that is like an adult item, but it's still in a video game. These chiseled bookshelves allow a player to store up to 6 books or quills at a time. You can also combine your chiseled bookshelf with a redstone comparator, which allows you to see which book was last interacted with on your shelf. Fancy. I can't even do that with any of my bookshelves in real life. Number 4. Hanging signs. Have you ever wanted to create a different kind of sign in a game? Well, fear not. The 1.20 Minecraft update has heard you. For this update, we'll be getting access to hanging signs, or at least the ability to craft said signs. These signs can be crafted in the new update out of stripped logs and chains. You won't just have access to one option when it comes to hanging signs either, but instead there will be three different variations for players to choose from. Number 3. Camels. The interesting thing about Minecraft is a lot of the animals we've seen in it are typically pretty closely associated with humans. I guess not that camels aren't, but they are definitely not the most common animals you think of to associate with, humanity in North America, at least. When it comes to animals that humans often, utilize for whatever, riding the animal or, eating the animal or any of those things. Despite odd animals like mushrooms, which are basically like mushroom covered cows, or some of the aquatic, nether, or jungle creatures, for the most part many animals in Minecraft are just pretty typical animals. You have cats, bees, horses, pigs, sheep, turtles, but camels? Never! That's been crazy talk for a long time. Well, guess what? That's about to change with Minecraft version 1.20, and the camels aren't just going to be there for you to watch and interact with as normal. Oh no. Camels are going to be like another few tameable animals in the game. Number 2. Camels that you can ride! Which I love. I love the idea that we can tandem ride a camel. That sounds so fun. That's right, camels, like horses, donkeys, and mules, post-taming will be rideable. I assume they will have to be tamed, but they will also allow you to ride with a friend, and even jump over holes and ravines while riding, which is pretty impressive. It's likely that they won't be as fast as horses though. I mean, even in nature, horses are known for being able to consistently go pretty fast, about like 88 kilometers an hour, whereas camels can usually only speed up in quick bursts, and even then they're slower than horses, generally topping out at around like 65 kilometers an hour, and that's not a speed that they would probably be able to sustain for a long distance. However, to be fair to camels, donkeys are actually known for being even slower, so really donkeys should be the slowest, one of the slowest animals in this game. Number 1, the slow burn. Something that seems to have become very apparent with what we know so far, and more specifically don't know so far, is that we're not going to get a bunch of content all at once this time around that dives into what this update is really about. What is the topic of this update? Whether it's about the end, the jungle, the desert, or some combo of all these things, or maybe none of these things. It seems more than likely that we will slowly be given information over time, probably in part to build hype and also to avoid backlash, like what happened with the previous update when Mojang overpromised and had to basically split up the update into 2 parts, which a lot of people were not so happy about. To be careful and also make sure that we are actually interested, they're likely going to release little bits of their plans and then kind of see what players think and maybe even adjust direction accordingly. It'll be interesting to see how or if this works for the update and how cohesive it'll end up being as a result of this new direction.
In a 10, stairs. Stairs are one of the most used blocks in Minecraft nowadays, whether it's for a transparent block that looks like your wooden wall so you can still use your chests, or a faster way to get back up from the mines, or even as your roof. Stairs are extremely popular blocks. However, back in the day, they were not anywhere close to as useful as they are now. Originally, the stair block was only intended to allow for players and mobs to change elevations without jumping. But when I say only, I mean only. Originally, the block wasn't even able to be sprinted on or placed on corners. I mean, you could place them on corners, but they wouldn't mold to the other stairs. It would just be like the full stair block. And yeah, you couldn't sprint up them. So great, right? You originally could only get them in oak wood, cobblestone, stone bricks, brick, and nether bricks. And to place them upside down, you had to place them on the bottom of another block, not just on the top half of a block face, on the actual like bottom of the block above where you're trying to put it. And if you want to experience this ungodly pain for whatever reason, play the Tekkit Classic mod pack on the Technic launcher, okay? It's from Minecraft version 1.2.5 before the stairs got an upgrade. And then after playing that, you'll probably thank Lord Talos that they changed it. Hey, you gotta love Talos. This is what the necklace is. It's Talos. All praise Lord Talos. In at 9, item codes. Item codes also weren't as simple as they are now, or I guess depending on who you ask, they were simpler. Minecraft Java Edition used to have numerical IDs for each of its blocks. For example, stone was 1, logs were 17, and planks were 5. Don't know why they came before logs, but okay. And each variant on that block was another number after the first one, with the 2 separated by a colon. So for example, spruce logs would be 17:1, birch would be 17:2, etc. Same went for every block and every variant. 1.8 completely removed these numerical values, which was great, because why should I remember the number ID for a command block if the only way to get it was using the give command? Why can't I just type in command block? However, 1.13 modified the IDs of many blocks, items, biomes, particles, paintings, and entities, statistics, and sound events, removing all numerical IDs, and then removing some block states, and then changed NBT tags and display names. This specific change was known as the flattening, which honestly in my head makes more sense for when they removed the numerical IDs, but whatever, that's fine. This also made it easier for modders to make their items, since they didn't actually have to come up with a random number for their items, which might interfere with the numbers from another mod or something like that, which would cause crashing and incompatibilities. Since now stone is Minecraft:stone instead of 1, meaning that any mod item will have its name before its item name. So the copper from Buildcraft and Galacticraft would be different despite being the same metal. It would be Buildcraft:copper or Galacticraft:copper. In at 8, combat. Right now, combat on Minecraft, Bedrock, and Java is drastically different. The most common example of this is how Bedrock seemingly didn't actually get the combat update. They got 1.9 and its end cities, but you can still spam attack on Bedrock, and in Java you have to wait after each swipe. Sweeping attacks are also exclusive to Java Edition because of this, and there are combat-friendly axes in this case, and yeah, a bunch of different changes. And because of these differences, it's become almost impossible for players to enjoy both editions of the game without learning separate combat mechanics. Like, trust me, okay, I know this for a fact. Having to figure out how to play Bedrock Edition's combat made me absolutely sure that I prefer Java. Hopefully the next update can put an end to that, because having to crouch to use a shield is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, I know it's like for controller friendliness, right? But if I'm using a mouse, let me left click, or just let me right click to block, okay? Like, or let me like bind the key to my right click, okay? Because limiting me because I'm using a PC is stupid. In essence, if you want to play the old combat, don't use a shield in Bedrock Edition, and then you can still spam click, which was the normal fighting style until 1.9 in Java Edition. And at 7, nether portal sizes. Nether portals are definitely different now, especially where size is concerned, which sounds incredibly weird given that phrasing. But originally, nether portals could only be 2 blocks wide and 3 blocks tall. And by this I mean specifically the interior, the part that actually becomes the portal. The frame had to be 4 by 5, not including the corners. Or I guess including the corners, but you didn't have to have the corner blocks in the frame for it to work. And the portal had to be lit using one of the bottom 2 blocks. However, after version 1.7.2, they can be as big as 23 by 23 blocks, but still can't be smaller than 4 by 5. So your portal itself can now be 3 by 3, but not 2 by 2. And it can be lit from any block, the sides or the top. And honestly, that was the only update that nether portals got, really. Until 1.16 when the ruined portal structure was added. But yeah, after the release of the game, the nether portal had gotten 2 updates, and 2 updates only. For those of you who don't know, you can actually use nether portals to travel long distances in the overworld. If you don't watch like any SMPs like Hermitcraft or the like and were unaware, 1 block in the nether is equivalent to 8 blocks in the overworld, meaning that moving 125 blocks in the nether is 1 kilometer in the overworld, or 1,000 blocks. And if you divide the overworld coordinates by 8, you get where you need to place the portal in the nether for you to get a proper link, and vice versa. But that's nothing new, that's fairly common knowledge. Let's moving on. And at 6, the end. The 1.9 combat update, like I said, wasn't really a combat update. It was closer to an end update than an actual combat style thing. Out of the 22 additions to the game in 1.9, only 6 of them were actually combat based. Like sure, some mechanics were changed like the skeleton AI and sword blocking, but only 6 of the 22 new features were focused on combat. The majority of them were focused on the end, and that caused a load of changes from the original version of the end that we all knew and loved. Well, we all knew. This update added the additional end islands that weren't the main one, end cities, elytra, chorus fruit, dragon heads, shulkers, and gateways. The hell, I mean, this update even added the cages around some of the end crystals, and the ability to resummon the ender dragon. And not just that, this update also added dragon's breath attacks and the ability to collect it for potions, the ability to craft end crystals, it added end ships. Basically, everything we know and love about the end now comes from this update. The main reason to go to the end is because you want this stuff. It's no longer just to fight the so-called main boss of the game and gain like 60 XP levels one time and then maybe make an ender. Now you go for all this stuff. So yeah, the end is going on this list. Halfway through, into number 5, the Nether. I mean, for anyone who played Minecraft prior to its YouTube resurgence, we all know how the end used to look. Horrible. There was a reason we all considered it the hell of Minecraft. A seemingly infinite mass of weird netherrack that kinda looked like flesh, but in a weird like mini wheats or shreddies kind of way. Like a dimension where you really needed something like Sphax in order to actually handle it properly, at least on your eyes. There was nothing there aside from nether fortresses and a lot of lava. The only reason you would normally go there was to get stuff for potions or to go to the end, but not to gather resources unless you wanted to make something out of nether brick, which would cause you to mine like 3 fortresses just to have enough blocks. But now, after 1.16 and honestly even before that, the nether really gained a purpose. After the redstone update introducing comparators and more, we flooded to the end to get all the quartz we could carry. But not only for these new mechanisms, but also because we finally had a solid white block that wasn't wool or snow to use in modern style builds. This block also had a slab and stair form as well, giving us even more variety than snow or wool. And then with the 1.16 update, the nether got a new lease on life. With plenty of new features, it basically became unrecognizable. I gotta tell you, okay, I was playing the snapshots with my girlfriend at the time. The amount of gas that spawned in the soul sand valleys was absolutely insane. Okay, I'm glad they cut back on that by a lot, because, oh, that really was hell. And at 4, zombie pigmen. Speaking of the 1.16 Nether update, zombie pigmen are not what they used to be. Like, literally. Like, what we knew as the zombie pigmen are now known as zombified piglins and are not the same mob, which Mojang has made very clear despite them sharing the same behavior for the once iconic mob. The reason I say this is because zombie pigmen could appear rarely in the overworld when lightning strikes within 3 to 4 blocks of a pig. And while this mechanic was left in as a reference for older fans, Jeb has stated multiple times that this is not a canon feature of the zombified piglin, meaning that these are truly zombie piglins rather than just evolved and zombified pigs. The piglin species as a whole honestly also kind of looks similar to how Captain Sparkles had zombie pigmen depicted in his Fallen Kingdom saga of Minecraft music videos, with like their ears being added in the 2015 Find the Pieces song, I'm pretty sure, with the Nether update not coming out until around 2020. So many do assume that this is where Mojang got the idea for either the mob species as a whole or specifically the ears. Getting close to the end, into number 3, villagers. While nowadays villagers are passive mobs that inhabit villages, work at their professions, breed and interact with each other wearing outfits that vary according to their occupation and biome, that a player can trade with using emeralds as currency, originally they were nothing more than a mob that you could take your anger out on. When first being added in the 1.0.0 release, villagers had the same AI as pigs and had the name Testificate displayed above their heads like a player name. Villagers had 5 professions indicated by their robe color, with any number after 4 giving them a green robe, something that we now know as nitwits. In 1.2.1, villagers were finally given the ability to open doors and repopulate villages based on the number of houses, but everything changed in 1.3. 1.3 added the first system of villager trading, which was honestly a nightmare, but it was a step in the right direction that personally I remember freaking out about when my friend told me. And then in 1.14 we got the Village and Pillage update, which just truly fixed villagers, to an extent at least. I mean, they're still difficult as hell to work with, but they don't breed based on houses or doors anymore, instead by the number of beds. They have set trades after making 1 trade at least, and then they don't remove any after they've been used 3 times, which was a thing that could happen. They just run out of stock temporarily. Basically, villagers now are nothing like they were back in Tekkit Classic or even MoonQuest days, since all the Yogscast used them for in MoonQuest was getting cool hats. Thank God they got updated, okay? It took a while, but still. Better late than never. But ultimately, in at number 2, textures. While yes, there have been plenty of texture changes throughout the game's lifetime, I don't think that there are any updates that changed it as drastically as 1.14. While yes, it fixed villagers, it also fixed a load of the textures that we had to deal with just because we were used to them. And when I say a load of them, I mean it. A majority of the items and blocks had their textures updated, and just generally for the better. For reference, the list of items that weren't updated is much shorter than the list of ones that were. Netherwort, blaze rod, and blaze powder items still use their old texture, as well as chests, trap chest, and the Christmas present chest variant that shows up in December. That's everything that wasn't updated. The rest of the items and blocks were. Some were definitely needed, like the brick and netherrack textures, and some kinda seemed pointless, like log, stone, and chiseled stone brick, which honestly I don't see a difference with, but I think the additional minerals like andesite, granite, and diorite really needed the update as well, and I much prefer the newer textures over the older ones, especially netherrack, since it still does like have that fleshy vibe, but it's also lost the whole shredded wheat thing, shreddies thing, okay? It had that kind of feeling, which really hurts your eyes if you're in the nether for too long. Imagine having to leave hell because it's ugly, and not because it's, like, hell. Yeah. And finally, in at number 1, Pocket Edition. Minecraft Pocket Edition was the former title of the Bedrock Edition of Minecraft, developed by Mojang, released for mobile devices before 1.2.0. Pocket Edition introduced the Bedrock engine, which was later ported to non-mobile platforms for the other 4 versions of Minecraft, the Windows 10, Gear VR, Apple TV, and Fire TV editions. And then to assist with clarification, the Minecraft community just refers to these versions collectively as Bedrock Edition, due to Bedrock being the name of the C++ codebase from which they all derive. The game on mobile was released with graphics akin to that of Java Alpha Edition, but that was really the only difference. Originally, the Pocket Edition version didn't even have a nether dimension, and instead you had to use a structure called a nether reactor. The main feature being a nether reactor core, which could be made with a line of diamonds in the middle column and iron on either side. Nether reactor cores could be used to create nether reactors, which would generate a square tower made of netherrack centered on the reactor, known as the nether spire. This this was the only way to get Netherrack in Pocket Edition until version 0.12.1, where the Nether was added. So, yeah. Definitely come a long way. And at 10, zombie virus. This is a slightly older theory, but it's a question that I had when watching the trailers for Minecraft Legends, is like, why are the piglins invading? Okay, don't like they turn into zombies after 30 seconds of being exposed to the overworld. And while this is a different overworld with new biomes and new structures and rules, I think there could already be some lore explanations working in our favor. MatPat once theorized that there was an airborne zombie virus that was poisoning the overworld air that things living in the overworld eventually developed an immunity to, unless otherwise compromised by like a lightning bolt or a zombie bite, and that's why the nether mobs turn into zombies after exiting the portal. However, I propose a theory that the army we recruit in this game actually released the toxin that does this themselves as an effort to prevent the piglins from invading again, either as a last-ditch attempt after they win, or maybe it was their plan all along, one that only affects piglins, or that one over time we end up developing an immunity to. So, yeah. And at 9, future golems. Looking at the poster for Minecraft Legends as well, since there isn't really much else that we can see like designed creepers, meaning that there are going to be more than just the few creepers we see in the trailer. However, it's also interesting to see that there are a load of other creatures that aren't in the base Minecraft game. What I can only assume are sentient prototype wooden dispensers that look like Hubert with a head full of arrows, the golden allay, like I've mentioned in other lists, but also 3 different types of golem. A seemingly carved stone golem, 4 of those at least, a mossy cobblestone golem above those, and some odd blue golems next to the creepers. Now, I'm not exactly sure what these could be, however, I'm guessing that they're kind of maybe diamond golems, but that seems kind of ridiculous, but probably skulk golems, since they have a similar appearance to the Warden's design, and they seem to be made with deep slate as well. Whether those were created or they just joined the fight on their own is up for debate, but I do really think that they are skulk golem, and that they'll be exclusive to this game until the community gets a feel for them, and then they might be added to like the next mob vote, or maybe the one after that. I still want the Moo Bloom though. Can we please get the Moo Bloom? Thank you. And at 8, falling out. In the beginning of the first Legends trailer, I think the strangest thing we can see is actually that there are zombie baby villagers playing in the village next to normal villagers without trying to kill them, which is absolutely insane. Like, how is that a thing? No way. Well, okay, believe it or not, it is a thing, and it's right in the beginning. So how could this be possible? It is possible that maybe the zombies and villagers had a falling out later on that causes them to become enemies. Or maybe in our lore, the Nether War ends up turning the zombies to their side, because like maybe they didn't have to wear stupid hats in the Nether, because you know, there's always a ceiling, so instead the zombies ended up joining their team. I don't know, but it's certainly interesting to see that while we think that we have to like unite warring factions, they don't seem to be at odds at all, and in fact never were. Or it could be that the toxin they released to keep the piglins at bay after the war also turns those mobs hostile, or that they otherwise had some conflict that results in the overworld we see in 1.19. See? I'm bringing it back. Maybe the introduction of the Skulk or the corruption from the Nether is where the hostility came from. And at 7, the next update. Now, when talking about the next update before it's even announced, you're going to get into pretty speculative territory, but I think that this is certainly something that's developing kind of a pattern. The Minecraft Legends game, along with the last, seems to be expanding on certain aspects of the Minecraft lore, but in a way that makes not everything canon to the main game, which is certainly a cleaner or clever way of approaching this, since they can gauge what the fans like and what they don't, so that they can omit the things that we don't like and only add the things we do into the main game later on. And while you may think that Minecraft doesn't need lore, okay, it already has a story, it has a final boss that just makes there be lore. But in the end, if you want it to be different, it can be. For example, I claim that my character is from a race of aliens that live on the moon, okay? But going back to the next game, I think that it will most likely end up being another mysterious realm, the End. The End has always been a mystery for us players ever since version 1.0 when it was introduced, so I think that the next update, and whatever the next mini game is, the next out of universe Minecraft game, will probably be focused on the End, and not something that's like randomly thrown into the combat update to give us wings, because we need like a proper End update. I think we all agree on that. And at 6, Ancient City Mineshaft. Before the new update, the only non-story structure generated inside Minecraft's caves was the mineshaft. You could get some pretty decent loot in it after fighting off a bunch of basic mobs, but the stakes are higher now because because one seed makes the mineshaft you spawn near to actually lead directly into an ancient city. But honestly, the way I see it, every structure in every world is a story structure. Like, sure, it's not the stronghold, but there is a reason why this mineshaft is breaking into this ancient city. Maybe some other clan of builders ended up breaking through it, or maybe there were resources up higher that the residents of the city decided to build platforms to access, and then they just kept digging, okay? I love stories. I love telling stories. It's the part of the reason I love theories. And the stories that you can make up for your own worlds can be incredible, and this tiny detail just gives it that little extra oomph you need to really make a living world, I guess. Not even thinking about the multiverse as well, which, cause like technically every seed is just another Earth, unless the world border is the divide between seeds and they all eventually link together. Oh god. Halfway through into number 5, what are ghasts? Ghasts, the giant floating jellyfish of the nether. What the hell are they? Get it? Giant floating jellyfish, maybe mutated due to the harsh climate of the nether? Some other mob that's been warped due to eating warped mushrooms and netherwort? Or is it half a person after a couple builders had a little too much fun one night? Cause you know, those block orgies? Nobody knows, but I guess we can take a stab at guessing. They could be a form of squid brought to the nether and tested on by ancient builders. They could have been changed thanks to their diet of warped mushrooms, crimson root, and netherwort, and then maybe they got bigger, and thanks to the climate they developed an immunity to fire and lava, and they also didn't need to breathe oxygen in water. And then their ability to shoot ink morphed into the ability to shoot fireballs from their mouths? I don't know, it's gruesome and it's horrifying, but that's what happens when you experiment on squids in hell. But maybe Minecraft Legends can actually help answer this instead of 1.19, because you know, it could just be like, because they're doing another thing, or it could just be that it's like an escaped soul that developed a body in the nether. Okay, I haven't the really faintest clue what a ghast could be, but yeah, please explain it. In for Skulk Stalkers. Did you know that Siren Head was actually almost in Minecraft? Kind of. Well, thanks to the Mojang dev King B Dogs, who was actually one of the creators of the iconic Aether mod from way back in the day. He shared on his Twitter some of the original concepts from Wardens earlier this year. On January 22nd, 2022, King tweeted a photo and said, quote, "Stalkers were going to have a glowing item in the middle of its chest that you would also randomly find throughout the biome floating on totems. The idea was that stalkers would stand perfectly still to fake these glowing items, and then you can infer the rest. And the look of these things really just looks like a skulk version of Siren Head by Trevor Henderson. And there's even gameplay footage for them, and the original design before they added all the skulk looks exactly like Siren Head. So yeah, I'm very glad these aren't in the game, okay? They're terrifying and make the skulk so much scarier, but had they have been added, this would have been the scariest monster ever. But maybe could they be added to the next version? I mean, the skulk is only concerning if you're actually scared of the warden, but with a couple of ender pearls or some planning, you're really fine. So maybe, since we're already experts at avoiding the warden just after the update released, they'll be adding another mob that can spawn in this biome. Fun fact, skulk biomes are the second biome to have no monsters spawn in them, no matter the light level. Okay, the first and only until now was mushroom biomes. Okay, wardens can spawn, but they're spawned in through like technically a mob spawner, which could also happen in mushroom biomes. If you found a dungeon, the monsters could spawn because of that block. So basically, it's the same thing. Getting close to the end into number 3, Herobrine is real. Okay, I know that Mojang keeps claiming Herobrine isn't real and was never in the game, but it seems to be that Herobrine could very possibly be present in this game, also thanks to Minecraft Legends. They've made it clear that this new game is a different overworld, not one that we play around with in normal Minecraft, which means to me that they're thinking of doing something daring. The issue of adding Herobrine, however, could be like copyright with the character, since this character, while being based on Minecraft, was created by a fan for a Brocraft stream, but also it's just Steve with white eyes, so I don't really know how the copyright law works there, but you know what, there could be some agreement to get him in there, if they really wanted to, but with the piglins popping out of the portal with glowing white eyes, it sets off a trigger in my brain. I mean, like, yes, their texture in the game has them with like a white pixel for the eyes, but like glowing eyes is synonymous with Herobrine, and if he's present in Legends, he could also be present in the vanilla game. Maybe he's the reason all the monsters turned evil, okay? In a reply to a tweet asking if Herobrine was a real entity in-game. Notch replied saying that he wasn't, but that there might be soon, okay? This confirmed that there was no Herobrine, but suggested that Notch planned on adding him at a later date. And then the whole Notch saying, quote, "I've publicly told people there's never been any such thing as Herobrine and I don't have any dead brothers." But then he also says, letting too many animals die in lava is a foolproof way to summon him, but that you don't need to be afraid of him, he only means well. He's looking out for you, trying to warn you of the dangers you can't see. Which I mean, like, come on man, is only asking for it. I mean, I have to just have a spawner over lava at this point, because I need to know. But ultimately, in at number 2, ruined portals. One mystery I've been thinking about recently is the nether portals from the main Minecraft game, okay? Where did they come from? And why is the nether kind of leaking out of them? Why are they ruined? My first thought was Shadow of Israfel, since those portals had a similar style, and I'm kind of obsessed with the Shadow of Israfel. Where's episode 43? In that story, they were scattered around and destroyed, but that doesn't really fit into the Minecraft lore because they leaked sand, not nether. However, with the trailer to Legends, this could be an explanation. The nether does start leaking out of these portals when they start springing up, so that explains the netherrack around these portals now, and it also suggests why the portals actually came around, because they were generated from the other side. They're ruined because we had to sever the connection, and tools were left nearby in case they ever ended up invading again, or maybe they just didn't want to use crappy gold tools. This game seems to be trying to explain the piglin and nether lore, which I am certainly looking forward to, although please tell me what ghasts are. And finally, in at number 1, the warden came from the nether. This is definitely a wild one, okay, but hear me out. This is probably not the case, but you might as well have some fun, right? Well, what put me on this path of thinking were actually wither skeletons. Matt, Pat, and others on Reddit have proposed the idea that maybe these are the bodies of fallen builders, buried in or absorbed by the soul sand we know that has the faces of screaming souls trapped inside, and then the skeletons left over could have been burnt from the harsh climate of the nether, or the blazes found in the very same nether structures, or nether fortresses I guess. Having to fight off the reincarnated burnt skeletons of your former friends and family is definitely horrific, but doing that in literal hell seems a bit much. This could also be how they discovered the unique properties of soul sand, and that this then leads them to accidentally summoning the wither after too many failed attempts at bringing their lost comrades back from death. But we also know that wardens and skulk have the ability to manipulate and use souls. The warden has souls on his chests that are in the exact same place that the soul sand faces are, just mirrored. For example, the one face would be here, but the warden's face is here, and then like that, you know? So what if the warden either came from the nether, or, since the texture is flipped, came from its own dimension that is a mirror or reverse version of the nether? That doesn't seem too crazy to me. Okay, well, the latter theory doesn't, that it's his own universe just mirrored.